But if you look through, not just myself, but there are many, many groups. For example, like International Friends of the Trees, big organization. What's the other one? Right here, came out of here, permaculture, right? This movement, it started in Australia. It's called permaculture. It's a gigantic international movement like that. And they have literature, they have projects, they're successful, engaging so many people. Our farm in Iskcon's been trying to do some things along these lines. So Sharanagati is our farm in Canada, our rural project. And trying to develop a rural project is difficult because you're trying to go back to the country and everybody else is trying to go to the city. So it's like, But they're trying to, because Prabhupada's saying this and that. And myself, I've never met anybody who likes living in the city. I mean, there probably are some people, but most people, everybody, the traffic, the pollution, the noise, everything else. But there are quite a few people who are doubtful and fearful about living in the country, like that and stuff. I'll be bored to death. It's horrible things like that. So anyway, Sharanagati example, Iskcon example. It's many things. We've got a whole list of guaranteed failures in Iskcon now, like that in terms of applying this. So one of these things is that it's a centralized GBC project. Okay, guaranteed failures. The GBC tells the civil president who tells this and that. It doesn't work. Prabhupada says proprietorship turns sand into gold, like that. If it's your sand, you can turn it into gold, and if somebody else's gold, you'll just turn it into sand. So at the beginning, they bought 1,200 acres. It's called the Venables Valley. It's interesting because Captain Venables was a captain in the British Army, like that. And when he retired, he got this 1,200-acre valley as his pension. It's now the Hare Krishnas have got it, so somehow or other, I don't know, Indian culture. And it's about 4 hours east from Vancouver to get there. So basically, you leave after breakfast and you're there by lunch. So it isn't that far. And of course, Canada, though, Canada, on a normal day in the winter, it's 30 below zero, mate. It get cold today, about 50 below zero. That's 30 below zero. When you spit, it freezes in the air. 50 below zero, I won't tell you what freezes in the air. Something else. In the morning, when the radio's playing, you're going to go to work, it says, exposed flash freezes in 60 seconds. Exposed flash freezes in 54 seconds. They tell you how much time you got before your hand will turn to ice. So it's for definitely a certain kind of condemned people, to live there and stuff. But some people, that's their karma, devotees. So a lot of Canadian devotees live there, big guys, hot digestion. And Russians, they come and live there. Okay, so they started this thing. And then it was simply organized, everything else, and we couldn't do it, so the whole thing was going into catastrophe. So the Iskcon was going to sell it. So devotees formed a cooperative, legally, and then bought it. And for every share in the cooperative, you get 5 acres on a 99-year lease, with renewable for $1 at the end of 99 years. So basically, it's your property, but really it still belongs to the cooperative. So some people have 2 shares, 3 shares, 4, so you have 5 acres, 10 acres. And half of it belongs to the cooperative, not for sale, like that. So out of 1,200 acres is like 600 acres, 400. 400 acres is not common property. There are 2 lakes, like that, and so on. And then, okay, so everybody has their property, So Dudidar Maharaj, he got an Alaskan chainsaw. These chainsaws, and you put a bar on it, which then, when you cut down a tree, a lot of trees there, Jambavan Das, he's a German guy, used to work for Lufthansa. He got 2 horses from the same father out of 2 different mothers, so like twins. He showed us how they follow verbal commands like that. You don't need industrialization to push the trees down. These guys can go right into the forest, and take out dead trees without having just to, chop everything down like that. In fact, the trees falling down, very good wood, So the horses go in there, and he showed us. He said, "Let's look at their ears. They're listening." He says, "Back up." And they step backwards. He said, "Back up." They step backwards. He says, "1 step." He took 1 step backward. So he showed us how they're trained. He works with them there, and he pulls out these. Put the chain around. He pulls out these big logs and stuff like that, And he trades with the devotees for honey and different things like that. They can live, before, I understand what it is now, they were living on $250 a month, Canadian, for a family of 4. Right? How about the same here like that? That's all it required. But they were growing their own vegetables, their own fruits, they're trading and stuff like that. And devotees, usually what they would do, one devotee had 5 tour buses in Eastern Canada, had a business. So they would go and then become like tour bus guides and stuff. They're devotees, they're friendly, and they go to all these parks, and they would talk about them. And of course, you could kind of squeeze Krishna in, and beautiful water and this and that. And it was very nice. You do that for maybe 3 years, and you have enough money to buy your land, build your house. It's 3 years of working for maybe about 4 months out of the year. Then after that, just basically $250 a month to maintain. And different devotees have developed different things. Jambavani has all these machines. It's like German. Carl Jung, he's a Swiss psychologist. He said a German, I'm Austrian, so I can say this. A German is somebody who would invent suspenders for socks and expect you to thank him. So he has all these kind of really simple, industrialization, yeah, but very simple. You got the wood cut into pieces like this, and you got to cut it vertically to go in your stove. Right? It's cut to the right length, and then you got to put the thing in there, and you got to beat on it. So he took like a pneumatic jack from an automobile, and then welded that onto a wedge. And he had one little boy show us. The little boy was going like this, and it just goes right into the wood and splits it. Without how this dangerous heavy work like that. So it was industrialization, but it was all like, right there with producing wood to heat my house. Not producing stripes for toothpaste or something. It was just like things that were right, simple things were right to the product of simple. I need warmth, I need food. Okay, I've taken care of it simply, and now I have time. And there's so many cultural programs there, different groups like that, and cultural activities like that, so on. And that's the real essence, because then you have a very happy life. And they have programs, they have time for their kids. He said very common, because you can't heat the whole house, like that. So what happens, you have maybe one room this big in the house, one stove, and at the end of the morning, somebody gets up, runs over, puts some wood in the stove, and they have these stoves now with automatic dampers, with thermostats that automatically convert. It's very simple, but it's very sophisticated. There's a water tank above it, so you can hop back in your bed. And after about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, the room's warm. The hot water's there in the tank, and everybody does their bathing, cooking, washing the dishes, and okay, let it cool down. And everybody's kind of hanging out in the one room. The kids are playing over here with their trucks, and so Yogi Nath makes soap. He's working on making the soap, and everybody kind of hangs out in the same room, And so it's like very social. The Japanese got a lot of individual houses after World War II, and with individual rooms, and they saw that crime increased like anything. It was very simple. The children didn't know how to feel what other people were feeling. Whereas living all together, they could just feel what other people were feeling. But our houses, putting everybody in separate rooms, and everybody's loses his ability to interrelate. So they developed a very, very natural integration of industry, and what they consider their biggest success, the chainsaw, okay. So he then started cutting these trees, and making very simple lumber. So people are building houses, and they have very beautiful houses. Any lady would go there and beautiful hardwood houses and floors and everything else like that. So, and they attach the greenhouse to the house, so that when you're getting your plants ready for putting in the ground, because it's very short growing season, so they're already going to be ready, But it's connected to the house. So the carbon dioxide for human beings, and the plants work, so you have very fresh oxygen all summer. They have the bases are just full of fresh canned tomatoes, and they won awards, national awards. Always beautiful, fresh fruits and stuff canned, maybe 2 years like that. And then, he was doing this chainsaw thing, and devotees were trading, buying, to build the houses, okay. Then a devotee, Kalkidas, he went there, and he bought an overhead, Dudidhar Maharaj bought one of these big things that, it's slightly, what do you call it? It's a big blade.
Windmill?
Huh?
Windmill?
It's a big saw, a big blade, it was about this tall. like that, And with those, it's better than a chainsaw. You can just push the wood through and it cuts it square. Okay, cuts a square piece like that, trims the edges. Then Kalki, right across the next door neighbor, he bought a used overhead bandsaw. So a bandsaw is like a belt, like about this thick. But it's like a long belt like that, with teeth on it like that. So it goes around, and it can cut very fine like that because this is the band. So this one, what it is, it's above. So what you do is you push these big squared logs through it, and it cuts off a piece of lumber like that, smooth. Then you drop it down a little bit like that. So now they're producing, very first class, fine milled lumber like that, and so on. And it's all within the same place like that. So we're not opposed to industrialization, right? But when industrialization to produce nuclear weapons, we're kind of, hey guys, if you got an argument, just get out here and get a big bag of rocks for each of you, and throw the rocks back and forth or something like that. Or else, so many things like the automobile industry. If human beings are living in the proper place, you don't need to travel like that. All this traveling is actually quite unnecessary, really. Some people okay, or once a year okay. Trains, when they stop every 45 minutes, are the most efficient and most comfortable form of transportation. Yes? Steam power, no problem. Very effective steam locomotives and stuff. So like that, we're saying we're not opposed to industrialization. And the Vedas, Yantravidi, the Vedas describe this, but it comes to the point where there's no satisfaction and people want more and more expensive toys and all this kind of stuff. I go to Peru and preach. To get these expensive iPods and everything else, people have to spend their lives in mines below the earth digging out iridium and all this kind of stuff. These things require extremely rare metals to do the things they do like that. And therefore the CIA has to keep everybody in Peru in the mines when they can be very happy, in their forests and living a very simple life like that. But it takes the government to adjust things, introduce an infrastructure of trains. The trains go back in there; they're very efficient, clean. And when you get there, you have electric cars or horses around like that.